So in this video, I wanted to tell you guys exactly step by step how I became a millionaire at 23 years old. I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs nowadays that say millionaire very loosely. A lot of my friends say this, they might own $1 million business, but at the end of the year, their business might make $1 million, but technically they only brought home themselves about $200,000 to $300,000, if that. Well, I'm gonna talk about when I reached $1 million liquid, meaning I could take out the cash very easily if I wanted to, because in my mind, that's the only way I'm a millionaire. When I very first became an entrepreneur at 18 years old, I always said that I'm not a millionaire until I could pull out $1 million cash whenever I wanted to. Well, in this video, I'm gonna tell you guys exactly step by step how I got to that point and became an official millionaire at 23 years old. I started from absolutely nothing, so get ready because this is gonna be a ride. So I come from a single mother of three, and I'm the oldest of the three. So essentially I had to become a man before I became a boy, becoming a father figure and a good role model for my younger brothers. I grew up in a small 3-bedroom house with 15 people living in it. And it was my grandparents' house. So all of us living there were my mom and her 3 sons, including myself, my auntie and her 3 sons, my other auntie and her 2 sons. And at this point, you're probably realizing that all the mothers were single mothers without a father figure in their kid's life. And at this point, I just thought that how it was with black families, which is sad. So in addition to my aunties and my mom, my 2 uncles lived there, and also my grandma and my grandpa. So growing up, I was super embarrassed at this situation. I never allowed any of my friends to come in my house because I was embarrassed that they'll come to the house and see everybody living there, everybody crammed up together. I never had my own room, so there was 3 bedrooms. My grandparents had their own bedroom, and then the 2nd bedroom was shared by my mom and my 2 aunties, and then the 3rd bedroom was shared with my 2 uncles. And all the other kids literally had to sleep on air mattress in the living room. So honestly, I'm actually ashamed to say that I was embarrassed with that situation, because looking back, I know that we never had our own space, our own room. We were all crammed together. But the positive side of all of us living together under one house, a 3-bedroom small house, was that we all became super, super close together. So I told you my mom had 3 sons, including me. My auntie had 3 sons, and then my other auntie had 2 sons. And we were all around the same age. So I had cousins around the same age, and then my younger brothers had cousins around the same age. So our childhood was super, super fun. We all played together. And I never really realized, how grateful I should be because of that. So for those of you that can relate to that in any kind of way, just always know that sometimes there's beauty in the struggle. So growing up in a black community, I was led to believe that the only way for you to become successful is if you play ball, you rap, or you sell drugs. There wasn't any kind of guidance on entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship for sure was not as glorified as it is today. It's definitely a lot different now because there's a ton of role models to look up to, and it's crazy actually. There's a lot of different entrepreneurs you can get inspiration from, and I feel like social media along with YouTube give a lot of people direct access to these entrepreneurs and the information that they willingly share. So you can learn a lot from these entrepreneurs that share, everything that led them to the success that they have. So I hope that you guys do not take that for granted, because I think that that's very, very beautiful. And my goal, if I'm not already, is to be that person that shares that information that helps a lot of people. I know that there's people out there that can relate to a younger me, and if I could just help just one of you, I for sure did my job. My channel now has over 200,000 subscribers, and it sounds crazy for me to even be able to say this, but I can humbly say that I've literally helped hundreds of thousands of people, and words cannot even begin to describe how grateful I am for that. So hopefully when it's all said and done, I've helped over 1 million people. So for those of you watching this, please, I really appreciate it if you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So to get back on track, so growing up, the only options in my eyes for you to become successful is if you play ball, you rap, or you sell drugs. So I chose ball, and basketball was my thing. I wanted to become just like Kobe, who was my favorite basketball player of all time, who is, in my opinion, the greatest basketball player of all time. So for those of you that know me very, very well, y'all know that Kobe is my biggest inspiration. So rest in peace to the greatest to ever do it. So literally the only thing I wanted growing up was to make it to the NBA, because I thought that that was my only way out. And this was from when I was 5 years old. So ever since elementary school, that was my dream. I not only wanted to buy my mom that mansion, give her dream car, and give her a life that she truly deserves along with my little brothers, but I also wanted to take care of my family that we all grew up with under one house. I wanted to buy a huge mansion that not only they could live in, but their kids could live in, and then their kids could live in. So for those of you that watch my channel, you guys know that I always preach that you have to stay persistent and to never quit. So just know that I haven't given up on my NBA dreams just yet. I always got a plan.
1 year later. The new guard playing for the Hillcrest High basketball team in Dallas this past season turned a lot of heads. He would sometimes drop 30 or more points in a game. Turns out he really was a man among boys.
So to continue on to the story, during my high school basketball career, I was recognized to be one of the top players in the country for my position, and I received a lot of interest from D1 colleges. And during the summer, right before my junior year, while I was playing travel ball, I actually injured my back, and it was an injury that I didn't really find out to the full extent of it until I was 19. It's a back injury called spondylosis. It's basically a tear from your upper back to your lower back, and because of that, the rest of my high school career, which was my junior and senior year, it affected the way I played tremendously. And because of that, at the end of my high school career, I ended it with 0 D1 scholarship offers. So my only other options were to go D2 because I had D2 scholarship offers. But for those of you that don't know basketball or high school sports, if you choose to go D2, your chances of making the NBA and getting drafted are much, much slimmer than if you went to a D1 school. So the only other option in my experience at that time, I don't know if it's different now, was to go to a JUCO, so a junior college, basically a community college, play there for 1 or 2 years and then get a scholarship to D1 and then hopefully make the NBA from there. So I ended up declining the D2 scholarship offers because I needed to do anything and everything to increase my chances of making the NBA. So I ended up playing at a community college, a junior college, and during this time I was extremely discouraged because although it was my highest chance at the situation that I was in, I still knew that my chances of making the NBA at this point were extremely slim to none at all. So at this point in my life, imagine having this dream since you were literally 5 years old, and it was your only way out that you were led to believe, and your whole life, all your dreams, all your future was based upon that dream. And you're kind of watching this dream being crushed and crumbled right in front of your eyes. So during this point, I was extremely lost and depressed, and I was so unsure about myself because my whole identity was a basketball player. And I was super close to joining the military because I literally did not know what I wanted to do. And at that point in my life, I thought that that was the best option for me. And I said this before and I'll say it again because I know that there's a lot of young athletes out there and people out there that can relate to this type of situation in any way, shape, or form. And that is to never attach your identity to just one thing. That one thing can limit you. It could also destroy you if that one thing does not turn out to what you thought it could be. So you don't necessarily have to change that one identity, but you just have to expand it. And in this day of age, there's so many different things that you can do, and you guys could do anything. So later on, while I was in community college, I stumbled across my cousin JT, who I didn't even know went to the school at that time. And he gave me a book. He said a successful black man gave him this book and said, if you read this, your life will change forever. And that book was called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And at this point in my life, I hated reading. Like, I literally thought it would be the lamest thing in the world to read 300 pages of a book. And I hated school to begin with. So if you would have told me to read a book and not even get any school credits for it, to kind of change the F into a D or a C, I would never do it. Primarily, I think the reason for this is that the school system makes us read books like The Great Gatsby that not only have any worthy meaning, but aren't relatable to our lives and aren't really beneficial to where we can apply it to the real world. So I think that because of that, we're conditioned to believe that about other books, which makes us not want to read. But at this point in my life, I was willing to do anything and everything to get out of that dark place and have any chance at becoming successful. And I forced myself to read it, and I kept thinking about what the successful black man said, that if you read this book, your life will change forever. So I ended up reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, the whole book, all the way through. And I kid you not, at 18 years old, that was the first book that I read all the way through, which is pretty embarrassing to say. But after reading that book, just like the successful person said, my life changed forever. It completely changed my whole mindset on basically everything that I was taught in school and everything that I was led to believe about success and money, and opened up my eyes to a bunch of different avenues and fields and different opportunities and strategies that you can make money and be successful. You know, learning from people and reading books from people like Jim Rohn, Napoleon Hill, Damon John, Tony Robbins, and many, many others that I can't think of right now to name. And literally from reading those books, it also made me extremely hungry to read more books, because I literally thought that at that point, and still to this day, there's so much gold in books. And I really feel like when I read a book, and at that point, that's where it started, that every time I read a book, I kind of unlocked the secret to life and success. And I always wanted to continue to read books to unlock more secrets. Kind of like a video game. You gotta unlock different levels to go to the next level, and you gotta read this book, unlock the level to go to the next level. So that's how I look at it. For those of you that don't really like reading, if you maybe look at it like that, that would kind of change your perception. But literally from just reading that book, my whole life changed and it made me an avid reader, which I am to this day. And also to mention, during that time, I had a library pass, so I was at the library literally reading all these books for free. And I remember thinking at that time that all these people that wrote these books are super successful and are so rich and have so much money. And it took them decades to get to where they're at today. And they're teaching me all this stuff and I'm learning it all for free. And I really thought that that was amazing and beautiful. And I feel like for those of you that, have a library or, nowadays a lot of things are online that you can learn from and read as well. Definitely take advantage of the opportunities around you, and a lot of the knowledge is available to you for free. So if you live by a library, or if you don't, even take the bus or whatever, it really makes sense, and it's insane that you guys could do that. So I was spending hours and hours every single day at the library reading so many books, and at the end of 2 months, I read 25 books, and some of those books led me to discover my first business, which was e-commerce, selling things on eBay. So I was buying wholesale items from AliExpress and Alibaba in bulk and reselling them on eBay for triple and quadruple the price. So when I first got started, I was making $1,000 a month, and I was working at a warehouse at night. And then I went full-time on the business, and I went from making $1,000 a month to $4,000 a month. And I ended up saving $20,000 at the end of that next year, which I was 19 years old. And at that point, I thought I was rich.
Oh, is it hot in here?
So I was selling items on eBay consistently, and I was practically living at the post office. I literally had to make multiple trips to the post office every single day, shipping out a bunch of items. And one day this guy sees me with a whole bunch of items being shipped out. And honestly, he was probably watching me before make multiple trips with a whole bunch of items being shipped out. But he comes up to me and says I should get into dropshipping. And he basically said it's selling a product without you having to touch the product, so you don't have to ship all these items yourself. So I was super intrigued by this, because I knew if this thing was true, I could potentially make a lot of money, a lot more money than what I was making at the time on eBay. Because with eBay, if you're buying things in bulk from Alibaba, AliExpress, you're only limited to what you have in stock. So I could only sell what I had in stock. So if I had a bunch of items, whatever those items are worth, whatever price that I'm selling them for, that's the max money that I can make. And the thing about that, every time I sold out, I would have to order again, and it would take 2 weeks for me to get the product. So there was a lot of time in between. So that was a lot of limits to how much money that I can make. But like I said, I thought $4,000 a month was rich. But when I learned that this dropshipping thing exists, I knew that I could make a lot more money, because you could virtually sell any product in the world. You don't have to worry about buying them in bulk and them arriving to you, and you have access to a whole bunch of different products for you to sell and make a lot of money. So I literally remember going home and doing a whole bunch of research about dropshipping. And mind you, at this time, there wasn't a lot of information about dropshipping like there is today. So I remember finding the basic information about it, how Shopify is the best platform that's recommended, and how you need to find, products for your dropshipping products. And I remember thinking at the time, like, okay, I'm pretty good at finding products because I sell products on eBay and I have to use AliExpress anyway. So I got started right away, and everything was still super new to me, and I was spending countless hours on Shopify, on my store and everything, trying to learn everything myself. And after a month of countless hours learning everything and getting everything situated, I finally launched a product, which was men's watches. So the watches were being sold on AliExpress for around $3, and I was selling them on my store for $15 to $20. And the first couple of months, I was learning and testing Facebook and Instagram ads, learning all of this by myself, which again was probably a big mistake. In the first couple of months, I lost money. And I lost a lot of the money that I had saved from eBay. So I was super frustrated. And at that point, I was about to give up on dropshipping and go back to eBay, which was working for me at the time. So at this time, when I was about to give up and quit dropshipping, I remember from one of the books that I read, and I think it was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. He was talking about Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb. And Thomas Edison had failed over 10,000 times trying to invent the light bulb. But Thomas Edison's perspective was that he said, I did not fail 10,000 times. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. And that changed my perspective. So at that time that I was gonna quit on dropshipping, I thought to myself, why would I quit dropshipping? I've not failed yet. I just found ways that won't work. And eventually I will find ways that will work. And that's exactly what I did. So I discovered so many different methods and strategies that didn't work, which also cost me a lot of money. But in the process, I also discovered ways that did work. which was Instagram influencers and theme pages. So I paid this Instagram account $80 and it generated $1,400 in sales in one day. And I was super hyped up about it because I realized how it was possible to generate thousands of dollars online in minutes. So literally later that month, I did $30,000 in sales in one day, which is the most I ever made at that time. And at the end of that month, I did $100,000 in sales, which is my first six-figure month ever. So I continue to use the Instagram influencer and theme page strategy, which I still teach to this day. And I was averaging over $100,000 a month for the next 2 years. So for those of you that do not know, the thing with dropshipping and every other e-commerce business is that you have your revenue, which is your sales. Then you have your expenses, which are your cost of goods, which is the cost of your e-commerce product or dropshipping product. You have your advertising costs, which can be your Facebook, Instagram ads, Google ads, Instagram influencers, basically whatever form of advertising that you pay for. Then you have your refunds, your chargebacks, your merchant fees, and your taxes and all that good stuff. So once you deduct that from your sales, that's what you're left with for profit. So my average profit after everything, including taxes, was around $30K to $40K a month. So at the end of the year, I averaged around $300,000 to $400,000 a year. Now, being young and dumb, I spent a lot of money throughout those years. And the money that I wasted was not necessarily on material things or lavish things, because I wasn't really into that. But when I lost money, the majority of the time I lost money was because I was trying to make more money. And what I mean by that is multiple things. So I was testing a whole bunch of different products. And when you test different products, you test your Facebook ads, you test your influencers. It's usually low budget at first. So instead of doing the $5 a day Facebook ads and the cheap micro influencers for testing like I did before, I got overconfident and I wanted to reach success really quickly. I wanted to get the big money really fast. And I was testing literally first product, like the first day of Facebook ad testing, I would do $100 a day. And then for influencers, I would pay $10,000 at first. So needless enough to say, I lost a lot of money doing that. And also I was trying to do so many different business ventures instead of just focusing and honing in on one specific thing that was working for me. Thankfully, I still had some money left over from my dropshipping and e-commerce businesses, but needless to say, I had a whole bunch of different setbacks and I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars because of it. So in 2020, I invested a lot of the money that I had saved up from my dropshipping and e-commerce businesses into the stock market. I continued to trade and invest consistently, and I made a lot of money from that and continue to make money from that, which I'm extremely grateful for.
Invest.
So later on that year in September 2020, I became a millionaire by my personal definition. So I could have easily sold all the stocks and took out $1 million cash. Now I did a terrible job of screenshotting and documenting that moment, but after watching this, you guys probably realized this about me, that I don't like to get too overly excited about something. I like for it to be for sure. So during that time, a lot of my money was still invested in the stock market. So I didn't want to kind of screenshot me having $1 million, which a lot was in the stock market, and then the next day it would be 900K. I would feel really, really bad about that. And that's actually what happened. So for the next couple of months, it would range from like 1.2 million to 900,000. So technically, I was just a part-time millionaire. But in January 2021, which is only 3 months later, I hit exactly $1.5 million in my stock market investing accounts, not including my crypto investments and the cash that I had in the bank. So it wasn't until that moment that I decided to take those screenshots, which I'll show right here, because that's when I graduated from becoming a part-time millionaire to becoming a full-time official millionaire. And I was still 23 at that time, and I didn't turn 24 until March of this year. So it's only been 5 years since I became an entrepreneur, and the stuff that I've been able to do and accomplish in that time has been unbelievable, like moving out at 19 into a luxury apartment, buying my dream car at 20 years old, then buying my mom her dream car, then buying my amazing grandpa a car, the head of the household that had all 15 of us living there. Then teaching my little brother just how to crush it in Ecom, traveling to multiple amazing countries and had the most fun experiences ever. Experiences that will stay with me for the rest of my life. Turned my beautiful girlfriend into my fiance in Paris. Moved to a luxury high-rise condo in Miami with an indoor basketball gym and the craziest amenities. Launching everything in one program, literally teaching people everything that I know in detail that has led me to this point in my life, from dropshipping, e-commerce, stock market investing, and more. And last but not least, amassed over 200,000 subscribers and reached millions of people, teaching them how to make money online. I can honestly say that coming from nothing, when I first started to make money online in e-commerce at 18 years old, even though I was only making $1,000 a month, I was extremely grateful because I truly knew that there was another way other than basketball to becoming a millionaire, and that if I just continue to keep learning, to keep growing, and to keep sharing what I know to give back to help others, that eventually, someday, I would get there. And that someday just so happened to be 23 years old, and I'm literally just getting started over here. This is just the beginning, so I'm super, super excited to continue to share my life and continue to share everything that I know to each and every one of you. And I know a lot of you guys watching this video can relate to where I was 5 years ago, regardless of what age or what background you came from. And I want you guys to know that whatever dream that you have, whatever goals that you have, is possible. There is nothing in life that is impossible. The word itself says impossible. And before I go, I want to leave a quote to all you future full-time millionaires out there watching this. And that quote is, even if you're starting from the bottom, you don't have to be great to get started, but you do have to get started to be great. And until then, my friends, be great.